So hi guys, I'm Shane. I'm also joined with Kyrie or Christine. And basically today we're gonna be talking about the AE tier list essentially. We just wanna try and create more specifically Southeast Asian Yu-Gi-Oh content, I guess. And we're gonna start things off with just the AE tier list. So without further ado, I think let's get straight into it. I think, well, you can see from the different tiers that we've created, we have 5 different tiers. I think this is more realistic or more relevant for our region. So like because like of what kind of events we have. So for example, the top tier is winning YOT, which is like our kind of like YCS kind of level. Top of premier event. So this can be YOT or even like Dual Spirits, Battle Nexus, whatever events would really like pop up in these different countries within our region. Undefeated in ranking, so your locals, you tend to expect these decks would go undefeated, and then can win on a lucky day is go like positive, have a positive record on a lucky day, and skip just means that the deck is skippable essentially. But yeah, okay, let's get straight into it. So the first deck is Cool Tune. So I think personally, I mean, I think the whole world probably personally thinks this. Cold Tune is definitely in a winning YOT tier, I believe. It's won almost every single qualifier for Worlds across every single format, OCG, AE. It won both WCQs for AE and OCG for the Asia Finals. It's been winning like a tons of Nats across Europe and other TCG countries as well. So across all the formats, it's like the game-defining deck, and especially in AE as well. It plays so well into Maxi, things like that. But yeah, Kyrie, what are your thoughts?
Okay, I think I agree with you about the Cool Sun deck that we can put as the tier S, or the deck that can win the YOT, because for the AE ban list itself, the only things that get hit is the Synchro Overtake, which is it's only cause the starter become not really that. But I think it's still fine though, because we still have 3 rotary, and also we can change the synchro overtake using duelist genesis, I think so.
Yeah, you just like technically lose harder to draw, but most of the time, if you're a good Cold Tune player, you're not losing to draw anyway, unless you have a bad hand. But yeah. Okay, do you want to take the lead on the second deck then?
All right, I think for the second deck we have Elfnote here. Maybe I'll put the Elfnote deck into the same tier as Kultun as well, because if you playing Elfnotes, whether it's synchro or also mixed with a branded, especially with the Elfnote branded things, we still have like 3 Omegas here, so you can like hand rip 3 or 4 of your opponents. What do you think, Sam, about this?
Yeah, I would say the same. I think Elfnote going first is an incredible board. Like, yeah, if you're going for the synchro or branded, no matter what, you're going to be hand ripping anyway. You're going to be having a tons of negates, interruptions. You have Baron and 3 summons. You can go the safe route going Seraphim into Crystal Wing as well. And even then, like, Regina's such a powerhouse of the card. So, like, you also have some potential with a lot of non-engine space going second as well. It's not the best non going second deck. However, I do feel that it is formidable enough to definitely be like winning something like YOT. But of course, it would have maybe less placements in the top cut as compared to Cool Tune, but it still definitely has a place up there with how many powerful synchros that it can produce. But yeah, I think the next deck is branded, and I think we might or might not have a differing opinion on this. I think branded is placed in top or premier event. The reason why is because I think that on one hand, if you are really that player that's been playing branded for super long from the OCG, and then you convert those skills to AE and play branded there, you can definitely do extremely incredibly well. However, I think as the format was still too maxi, you still have so many like so much Fua around running around as well. Branded may not do as well as the other decks. Like I think why Branded would do it better in other formats is because like they don't really have maxi. They have less like non-engine that they have to kind of play through. So the deck does super well into like engine heavy decks and breaking boards in that manner. But breaking a board through a lingering hand trap may be difficult, which is why for me personally, I think I would put it as topping a premier event. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with you, Shen, with this, because I think why branded will perform at premier event as well because of the D barrier cards in AE,
Mm.
which is it already get limited as well. So actually, it's quite good for going second as well because it has the FTV to break the opponent board and give some other interruption as well.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, this is all pre-Cori,
Hmm.
pre-Chaos Origin, by the way. So like Elfnote doesn't even have June Pride yet. Branded, we don't know. We're getting the extra support for Branded in Chaos Origin for AE, but yeah, you can continue.
Alright. Okay. Next, move on to the Doomsday. Okay, this is quite hard for me, but maybe I'll put in the undefeated in ranking. Because I think for me personally, I think this deck is not consistent and it has too many normal summon. But and also I think yeah, we still have two draw as well, and this deck is kind of hit hit hard by draw as well. But I'm not sure, and I'm gonna ask Shen, who has played this. I think yesterday I think you played this one, right? What do you think about this deck?
Yeah, no, I was okay before. So what I've been doing recently is I've just been taking like a new deck and playing it for a week and then changing the deck because I'm kind of bored. Um, right now, so this week was Doomsday. I went a total of 5-1 on Thursday. I lost the second round, and then yesterday I went undefeated. So before yesterday, I would have said can win on a lucky day. But yesterday I went undefeated in the ranking, so I
Wow.
was like, I guess it bumped itself up. I mean, you are right to say that there's definitely more non-engine and stuff. The normal summons. I mean, I personally think that the weakness of the deck is really that you want to see like a one-off hand, meaning that you want all five cards in your hand to be unique. So the second you see like a duplicate, that's where the deck kind of weakens a bit. And that may be where you find the normal summon problem. But I do find like the consistency is sometimes a bit off, and also certain hands do lose to draw. But I found that whenever people would max year full on me, I would actually like play through it fine. I broke a board while my opponent maxied me, and I gave him one draw, and I broke his entire board. It was an Elfnote board, so that was pretty interesting for me, from my perspective, because I was like, hey, you know what? Doomsday is actually way stronger of a deck than I thought. However, I do agree that it would probably just be an undefeated ranking and not necessarily top or premier event, because even though it's a powerful deck, I do think that one, consistency, and number two, it's a tiring deck to play. You kind of have to play it perfectly to be able to do well with it. So if you're playing across like 8 to 9 rounds Swiss on day one and then bringing it to a day two, the mental fatigue may stop the deck from like performing as much as you expect it to. So I think that's like a great tier to sit it on. Yeah. Okay. Let's move on next. Mitsu Risio. Okay, so Mitsu Risio, personally, I think it will top a premier event. However, winning a YOT, I may not necessarily think so. The reason why is because, well, it's an extremely powerful deck going first. Going second, it has tools like Murakumo and X. However, it does have consistency issues across like the many different rounds. I mean, we have like Ice 2, Prayers at 1, and it does still affect that consistency and also like the amount of bricks that you're playing in the deck. But the reason why I wouldn't necessarily put it as winning YOT is because Cool Tune is the best deck. Because Cool Tune's the best deck right now, there's a lot of like hand traps in that deck specifically, and Mitsu Risio, because of the consistency issues, there are certain hands where you high roll and you play through everything in the world, but there are certain hands where you lose to one or two hand traps. And across an entire premier event, I don't necessarily think that it's the most consistent option or best way to go about it. However, I do still see, like, for example, if you have like a top 64, can see it taking like maybe 2 to 3 slots in that top 64. So I think it's still top, but it would be on the lower end. What do you think?
Yep, I think I agree with you also with the Kultun deck. I think Murakumo and also Detonator will give a pressure for the opponent as well because they need to make Loudness War to prevent the destroy. But I think it will also hard for the Kultun players.
Yeah, for sure. Like does have a lot of engine pushes, but I think the deck has been out long enough where it's like it's engine pushes. You kind of know already what it's trying to do. I think everybody knows what it's trying to do. So there is a weakness there as well. But yeah.
Yep. All right. Maybe let's move to the other deck. Next we have the Fairy Tail here, which is kind of new in Asian English as well because just released in the I think two booster box before the creation pack 12, and I think I'm gonna put this on the undefeated in ranking. Because in my opinion, Fairy Tail, it the deck itself can easily OTK the opponent because the field spell allows you to direct to the opponent, and also it has a good board as well, especially if you mix with the Magistus engine. Like we have Boreal Savage and then Zoroa and so on. And also, although we haven't got the support from the VGM card as well, yeah, in Asian English, such as the Regulus Branch, but I think it's quite consistent. However, it's not good enough for going second because we have too many engine here. But what do you think, Sam, about this?
Yeah, I think without the Endymion cards, it's kind of hard to. Like, the Endymion cards provide like consistency and extension as well. So technically, the Fairy Tail deck, even with the Magistus cards, has lesser pushes. But yeah, I can definitely see someone like high rolling it and like going undefeated in a ranking. But I don't see that happening super consistently. Because yeah, like going first, like you're using the Magistus cards to basically set up like a Teller, Borreload Savage, and then go like into a Wicket to get your Fairy Tail stuff as well. So it provides like a really dynamic and interactive board. Going first, but like you said, yeah, going second may be more of an issue because there's not as many like non-engine spaces. Like I know they play like a lot of forbidden cards. And forbidden cards work well into Cold Tune, but not necessarily any of the decks above it. But yeah. Okay, then, but yeah, undefeated ranking is completely fair. Next, Christian and K9. Christian K9, I'm in between can win on a lucky day and undefeated in ranking. And let's just not flood this, I guess, because a lot of decks could technically go here if they high roll. So I'm gonna put can win on a lucky day. I mean, recently with the Essential Selection, the AE did get the Infinite Track bridge from K9 to Christian, and Christian already has a very interesting like they make a crazy board, and the trap card gives very interesting grind game as well. However, I do think that they can easily be hand trapped out of the game by the top decks, and I also think that sometimes there are really like awkward lines and even awkward hands where if you're not opening like Joko Solfador, or if you're not opening like the fastest way to Solfador, like it can be kind of clunky and a bit off, I guess. So yeah, I'm gonna put can win on a lucky day. I think like it can do go positive, like have a positive record, but there are days where the deck will just like kind of fall beneath you. What do you think?
Yes, I think I will also put between undefeated or can win unlucky day because yeah, you know that the Joko has get hit. I mean, being limited as well. So maybe we got less starters, and sometimes it got too bricky as well. And I think it's not going to be easy if we play going second against the other decks.
Yeah, even like Izuna doesn't feel as powerful, I guess, because there's so many ways to respond to Lupus. Like if your opponent has a KTS in hand,
Yeah.
there's like super easy to just get rid. Like you just track maker bounce the Lupus or something like that. But yeah, and then you have to fill your deck with like chaotic, like 3 chaotic elements, 3 case of K9, and then you're losing to many other hand traps in a sense. But anyway, yeah. Yeah, you can continue.
All right. Yeah. Also, we haven't forgot yet that the troll and knockback still limited. So I think yeah, if we starting from the case, I think it will be hard for the Crystal Cannon as well. Yeah.
Yes, that as well. Yes.
All right. And then let's move on to I think this is the power patron deck.
Yeah.
To be honest, for Asian English, I'm gonna put this on a skip because there's a lot of cards that hasn't been released in Asian English yet, especially for the Power Patron FTK, and also I think the Power Patron will go strong after the Chaos Origin because we get support from there, and also yeah, I think from Chaos Origin, right? But what do you think about this?
Yeah, I'm like, so I've already unsleeved my Doomsday deck. Power Patron's the next deck that I
Yep.
have sleeved up. So I'm gonna see if I can prove you wrong or prove you right.
Oh, okay.
But right now, yeah, I'm okay with leaving it on skip. But I don't necessarily know if it's really should be on skip. The reason why is, I mean, yeah, their floodgates like anti-spell dimensional barrier is still legal. Drolls at 2, Maxis at 2. Um, Even though yeah you can fit into call by, the thing is that this deck already is a heavy engine deck. However, there will be some awkward hands. It's similar to situation Doomsday, I guess, where they're like if you see duplicates of a card, the card's power level gets weakened. But I do think that like with support cards like Shade the Obscure, I think Power Patron is definitely that combo wombo deck you can look into. And using the Synchro monster that you make off your Predo, I think that's like your main board clearance. So if your opponent doesn't really know what you're doing, you have the advantage, but that's your main point of advantage. Also, making a non-finito, making like a counter trap to protect all your plays is a pretty interesting thing. So like it being a hand trap format that can help you going first. But yeah, the deck does struggle going second. And like board breakers are not as popular due to like cards like Maxi. But yeah, I think I'm okay keeping it skip for now. But I will get back to you on whether it really is a skip or not.
Right.
Um, but yeah, let's move on to the next deck that I actually think is a skip,
Oh,
and that's Draco Tail.
yep.
Um, the reason why I think Draco Tail, well, I'll put Draco Tail behind Power Patron. The reason why I think Draco Tail is a skip is because if you're not Jesse Cotton, it's hard. But jokes aside, like I think that with the amount of lingering hand traps that exist, and also with the amount of hand traps that people are playing, I think Draco Tail on its hinges already with Rahu and K2 both hit is already very difficult. You can go the branded version as well, but at that point, it just might be better to play branded. Because the branded cards help you push through so much, and yes, technically branded fusion can bridge into your Draco Tail cards, but the Draco Tail cards in this current metagame don't feel like they're adding as much value. If anything, also you're just introducing more bricks like Pan and Urgula, and also yeah, like Rahu K2, like they are powerful cards, don't get me wrong, but they just have a hard time playing into the meta. And like even then, like the only trap that feels as powerful right now would probably be Horn against Cool Tune. But even then, they have so many ways to play around that. But yeah, what's your opinion?
Yep, agree. Especially after the previous ban list in July, where Rahu also get limit, yeah. So yeah, the consistency also drop, and yeah, the only advantage here is just we have a lot of hand traps, but sometimes we couldn't play with those hand. And yeah, the other decks can play very minimum of underhand trap, especially Kultun. So I think I'm gonna skip playing Draco Tail in this format.
Fair enough.
Right. Next is Clone Crew. I think this is hard because we haven't got the new support yet. I think I'm gonna put in the can win on a lucky day. Because of the extra deck monster from Clone Crew, if they get tributed, it will give a lot pressure for the opponent as well, especially for the Kultun or Elfnote. If we tribute the Clone Crew Synchro, and then it will spin all the Synchro on the field or graveyard. So I think it's kind of tricky for playing Clone Crew. And also for the Asian English, I think we can play for the stun format, such as summoning the Vanity Ruler or Vanity Fiends. But with the TFTV and also the Book of Eclipse, I think it's not going to be easy. But what do you think about this?
Yeah, so my personal record against Clown Crew is like 1-2.
Oh,
Yeah, this deck tends to roll me. But the reason why it's such a powerful deck is because of how much card advantage it really can produce. I mean, you're quick play summoning 2, extra gets tributed. You're drawing 2, and you're setting a 1 spell, 1 trap. You're just like getting so much resources, especially at the end phase draw effect, where you can draw like 3-4 cards. And then all you're doing on your opponent's turn is just throwing out hand traps. Plus, you have a Book of Moon interruption and essentially a Dark Ruler. With like the main boss monster as well. So I think that the Clown Crew deck is very powerful in terms of generating resources, but what those resources actually do is a bit lackluster, which is why I do agree it can win on a lucky day, but I do think that you're kind of just high rolling on hand traps at the end of the day. I think playing through the engine itself is relatively simple for almost any deck, as long as you like know what you're doing, or rather you know what the deck is trying to do to you. So for example, it's like if you're playing Exceed deck, you see them some of the Exceed, you're never letting that thing stick on the field, or you're never letting it get attributed. But yeah, okay. Next deck let's get into is Cashira. So the thing about Cashira is personally, I think it's also on win on a lucky day tier. The reason being is because I think the deck has been incredibly power crept. One Arise Heart Pass isn't enough most of the time. It might be enough against Cold Tune, but against almost anything else, I don't necessarily think so. You can also force its mandatory effect to unlock your Thrust or unlock your Harmonia, essentially. And there's a tons of like board breakers as well, like Crown, Illusion Gate, things like that, that can just easily out the entire board. So I do think that Cashira is an extremely strong deck from the past, but it may not be as relevant nowadays. And I even thought about different variants as well, like playing it with Cashira cards, playing it with Azamina cards, playing it with Fairy Tail cards. But at the end of the day, I think the power level has just been correct. What do you think?
Yeah, I also agree. Maybe Castira, especially with the Kultun meta here, is not as good as it was in the past, because people now prepare for the Book of Eclipse, which is shut down the Shangri era as well, and we will have this zone back as well. So basically, it's just like the student deck based, like the Ojama zone blocking, and but now it can be easily removed as well. So I think I'm agree. Also, yeah, I think this deck is really fragile against troll as well.
Yeah,
All right. Okay, maybe next we have Mitsu. I think this one is Mitsu pure, right?
yeah, Pure Mitsu, yeah.
Okay. Honestly, I'm a bit confused where to put Mitsu pure, because I think everybody will prefer to play the Mitsu Risio because it's much stronger. But if you wanna play the pure, I think um now with the prayer one, maybe we just can win on a lucky day. But what do you think about this?
I think it's a skip.
Yeah.
Like, yeah. I mean, you want to continue first, or do you want to give my opinion?
Okay. I think yeah, we just can win on a lucky day after the Goemon from the Beyond the Brave release here, because that card really strong. But maybe after this and before this, yeah, we can skip this deck.
Yeah, I think yeah, with prayers going to one, the thing is that the grind game gets infinitely like terrible. It is still playable, don't get me wrong, but I think that especially with how the meta is developed, even though Mitsu is supposed to be have a good what you call it? It's supposed to have a good matchup against Cold Tune and even Elfnote to a certain degree. But the deck itself right now just crumbles against most hand traps. As Prayers plays like such a powerful role in the grind game, and also being able to play through hand traps as well. Like now Droplet, Imperm, things like that become way more effective against your Mitsu deck. But yeah, I guess technically it can win on a lucky day. Me personally, I think it would be a skip, because if I think Mitsurugi would be considered, I would play it with Raizo cards or Magistus cards. But Magistus cards is more of a fun build. But yeah, that's more of a skip from my perspective. Uh, but yeah, that's fine. Okay, then we'll move on to Phantom Knights as well. I think this is a straight skip. Right now, this is pre-Cori, of course. Even though Phantom Knights, they just got technically introduced to AE through CR12 recently. I do think that the deck right now still has this very old playstyle, but it's way too slow for the current metagame. And yeah, like essentially, like if you get Fluid or Max Seed and ending on like a double Fog Blade pass, I don't think that's enough, especially against Cold Tune when they can just use the synchro material from hand. But yeah, what do you think?
Yes, I also agree with you. The deck is kind of slow because we haven't got the Opion as well. I think Opion hasn't released in Asian English, and also the Dark Rebellion, which is kind of powerful to exit summon into Ophion or just Carmyle. But for now, I think yeah, this deck can be skipped. Alright. Okay, next Exo Sister. I think this deck can be put on the can win on a lucky day, I guess. Because the deck itself is kind of control deck, which can summon Dweller and also the Banish. But with the board breakers like TFTV around, I think we can play through these Carmel easily. But what do you think about this?
Yeah, I think if we're since the whole meta or relatively majority of the meta is kind of defined by Cool Tune, I think Exo Sister doesn't really have a place in that meta because yeah, it's like Exo Sister normally performs well whenever it plays into good matchups. Playing into Cool Tune, you have almost zero triggers. You're gonna have to rely on your Carmel, or you're gonna have to rely on your traps or Betrayal, being able to trigger your effects to exit summon. So Cool Tune can just completely avoid that. Elfnote can completely avoid that. Basically, all the top decks can completely avoid touching their graveyards just to clear your bodies first. So I think that's like the main weakness of Exo Sister, or rather the reason why it may not be able to fight. Um, and yeah, even like the non-engine spaces or slots that you can play in the deck, like they're definitely better options to play those same choices. And speaking of which, when we think about TFTV or Crown, we also think about Radiant Typhoon. And I think Radiant Typhoon can easily top a premier event. I think that the interesting point about Radiant Typhoon is that it doesn't play into B2B, and also a lot of its board breakers, its non-engine, is really impactful in terms of like the forbidden cards, TFTV, and it can easily break the top contender boards, especially when they don't necessarily know how to pivot through it. So, for example, like if you're playing as Radiant Typhoon, if you don't necessarily know like what their hand is, Rotary will let you see their hand, but the thing is that they have cards like Vision and stuff to draw, and having that access to be able to make your opponent not know what your hand is definitely a competitive edge in this format. So I think Radiant Typhoon can definitely do very well against the top decks. It can definitely top a premier event, and even with cards like Super Poly as well. What do you think?
Yeah, I think Radiant Typhoon is considered as a good deck for going first as well, because we have like automatic win condition with the Harpy's Feather Storm here, because it hasn't got banned yet. So I think that's kind of strong if we play in a best of 3 game and then post hiding times. Yep. All right. Next we will move to the I think this is a Sprite Frog. Um, it's kind of hard, but I think I'll put it in the undefeated in ranking, maybe,
Yeah.
because I think although we know that this deck is strong back then, right? But this deck is kind of too slow if we compare to the other deck that top on the tier list as well. And yeah, but it still have a good board with Totally Awesome, and then Gigantic Sprite as well, and also the other Sprite cards that also give another interruption. So maybe we can undefeated in ranking when using this deck. But what do you think, Shen?
Yeah, so this is the deck that the first time I ever went 5-0 in ranking was with Sprite Frogs in OCG, so I have a soft spot for this deck. I think I personally would put it in can win on a lucky day, but I think undefeated in ranking is a viable spot as well. The deck can search Maxi and set up double Toad. Like, it's something that you would definitely want as a player to be able to do. Double negate, Maxi in hand, off the Gigantic Sprite with Sprite Frog, like, the deck can do so much in that sense, and also it allows for incredible grind game. And yeah, like Sprite Elf is a crazy card. Gigantic Sprite is a crazy card. The Toad as well is a crazy card, especially. So yeah, I definitely think that it does have the potential to go undefeated in ranking. I haven't really sat down with the list in AE to really think about how much non-engine slots it can hold, but I'm pretty sure it's quite a lot as well. And yeah, so I think that definitely can be seated there. The next deck, is Striker or Santoki. So yeah, if you're Ryan Yu, you can win YOT, but I don't think we have. Oh wait, no, we have RJ. RJ is our Ryan Yu. So if you're RJ, you can win YOT with this deck. But I think more realistically, for the more average player, I think top or premier event. So I think yeah, Striker has a lot of really powerful tools to be able to play into a cold tune board, into an Elfnote board as well. I mean, the deck is essentially just printed board breakers and printing card advantage for free. Striker tends to actually, in my opinion at least, it tends to have like a rougher time against more rogue style decks, whereas against the meta, like I mean, it's a meta pick kind of deck. You kind of pick it according to what kind of format you're going into anyway. And I think currently right now it can perform incredibly well. Um, but I do think that Striker may have a bit of a disadvantage against like maybe Mitsu Risio, maybe against Radiant Typhoon, but I think against the other three at the top, I think Striker is a very powerful pick. So I do think it's a top premier event. But if you're not RJ, you may not win YOT. What do you think?
Yeah, agree. Because Striker is quite similar with Radiant Typhoon. It has a good matchup with the Coulson or Elfnotes, but need high technical skill as well. So I think not all of the people can play Striker like RG or um, Ryan before Ryan do. Yep. Right. Okay. Next, move on to the White Forest. Okay, this is hard as well because this deck is kind of strong on building the big board, but maybe I'll put in the undefeated in ranking. Yep. Because yeah, since it's so strong going first, I don't think it has a flex spot for put the going second card on the main deck. But what do you think about this?
Yeah, I think its going first board is almost unbreakable. If not, if you look at this entire meta chart, actually Whitewoods might have like the craziest end board. Actually, not the craziest, but one of the craziest. And going second as well, technically it does have a lot of engine pushes. There are like some awkward hands that you can draw off the deck where you wouldn't be able to play through as many interruptions. But there are definitely hands that are just pure gas. So you can go undefeated in ranking with it, but you definitely have to high roll across your 3 to 5 rounds. But with a top or premier event, that may be a different story. And of course, it depends on your skill. If you're Dino from New Zealand, then you can top a premier event with it. But if you're not, probably undefeated in ranking. But yeah, okay, let's move on next to I guess the deck that I was previously known for,
Yep.
VSK9.
Yep.
So it can win YOT. No, I'm kidding. I think sad to say it can only win on a lucky day now. I know that there have been some people that have been testing the deck in other formats with, like, for example, in TCG where they have 3 Rasen. And for AE right now, we have 2 Rasen, 1 Su. So I think you could technically play the deck. However, if you're facing against, like, one of the top contenders, like Elfnote and Cooltune, and they're throwing hand traps at you, the thing is that if you don't necessarily see Izuna, you're not going to be playing through those hand traps just as easily. And also, technically, you normally have like 4 engine pushes, and now with the consistency hits, you might have lesser. And to increase the consistency, you'll just be playing further to draw. So, for example, if you want to see your K9 cards more, maybe you play more Case or even Chaotic Elements, then you face a similar situation to Christian K9. And of course, with only 1 Su, you have less turn 0 plays, and you don't already have a lot of space for non-engine, so your going second is incredibly hard. So sad to say, I think it can win on a lucky day, but that may be the furthest it goes at this moment. But yeah, what do you think?
Yeah, I also agree because especially post-siding times when people are preparing for facing against the Kultun deck with Book of Eclipse, so maybe Fias Cannon will also find struggle if got Eclipse as well.
Yeah, and also Perulia is getting way more popular, and VSD9 more often than not bolts to Perulia. Rare hands that unless you open stake, but rarely you don't. I mean, rarely you do. But anyway, yeah, you continue.
Alright, okay. The next deck is actually my deck, and I still playing it, but maybe I just put in the can win on a lucky day. Sadly though, because in Asian English, although we don't get we still have we still have the red ransom and also white binder as well. Link decoder is still here too, splash match, but um, the price for those extra deck is sadly the main deck, which is all of the monsters is limited except the cat, I think. Yes. So the consistency of the deck is quite um, not so consistent, although we have mixed it with Radiant Typhoon. But yeah, I think other decks still better in terms of the consistency. But what do you think, Shan?
Yeah, so I have like another player in mind where I'm like, if you're Yuna, you can win YOT, but if you're like a pleb like myself, it may be harder. But I do think that Malice could honestly probably go undefeated in ranking. I think that's where I would personally put it. The reason why is because even though yes, there have been major consistency hits, things like cards like with the Radiant Typhoon engine and a lot of the Bestials as well, I think the deck actually has more playability than people would necessarily like grant it. I think people are very used to creating those big combo wombo boards with Malice, but also like Malice is a very strong mid range kind of game plan, and also going second is incredible as well. And it still has tools like Link Decoder and Splash Mage. It's the only format right now that has Splash Mage, and I think two Cyberse bodies into full combo is still pretty respectable as well. Going straight to Raid Ransom and then Field Spell, White Binder, etc., etc. So yeah, I think can win on lucky day is fine. I personally put it maybe undefeated ranking, but I think it can definitely do more. Definitely more than VS Connect. But anyway, okay. So yeah, the next deck, second last deck that we'll go through today will be Yummy. But I'm thinking more of the Yummy pure version. I guess Fiendsmith version could be included as well, but I think they both fall under the same umbrella. Where personally, I also think, actually, no. I think it might be a skip. I was about to put it in the can win on a lucky day, but then I just remembered Cupsy's at one. And I think Cupsy being like the best starter, being at one, kind of hurts the deck as well. Sorry, because if you ash the what's it called, the Cupsy Wade, the searcher,
Yes.
if you ash that, it has way more impact now, and like having a lack of access to surprise really hurts. And also in OCG, Yummy's definitely more playable with the Dark Magician cards, with Curtain summoning Black Forest, which the Black Forest to be able to search for your Yummy names or even search Troll or Maxi. But in this case, Yummy doesn't have access to that. Yummy only really has access to making maybe like Herald Arclight, going to Zalin, and then searching for Illusion of Chaos into Magician's Souls. But even then, the power level of the deck hasn't really improved. And of course, when you look at all the top decks, Yummy's incredibly just easy to stop. Like if you stop the normal summon, that tends to be the end of the game. But yeah, so I think Yummy may be at a skip. What do you think?
Yes, I also agree with you because beside the Capsi, I think the Snatchy also get hit, and if the Snatchy got banished from the clip effect, so maybe it's just game over for you. And also the Kultun Red Seal, it also give a hard time for the Yami player since it modified the level, right. So yeah, I think for now we can skip playing Yami in this format with the Kultun and also the Snatchy Atman. And the last deck here is Luna Light. Okay, I think I'm gonna put this on the undefeated in ranking because although we have Ligers, but with the Liger can easily be played. If we play like Mitsu Risio, we can double our attack, and if you not familiar with the other deck, maybe you can just you know activate the Liger effect at the wrong time. But what do you think?
So yeah, if you're Tom or Johannes from Germany, or if you're Edward from Malaysia, I think Lunalight would definitely be way higher. But yeah, realistically, I think your average Lunalight player, I think undefeated ranking is definitely a good place to put it. Liger still does a lot, especially against some of the top decks. If a player doesn't know how to out a Liger, then the Liger is just an auto win button. And sometimes also like Luna Light introduces strange gameplay to the game. I feel sometimes it can be a skill check, and sometimes also it can just be a simply like a matter of like, do you exactly know what your out is in your deck? How well do you know your deck playing into Liger? So I think with that in that case, I think that if a decent enough player brings Luna Light to a ranking, they can definitely go undefeated. Yeah, definitely the potential is there. But yeah, I think. Do you have any disputes or disapprovals with the current meta tier list? Anything that you want to shift around, or anything that you're like, yeah, or do you feel like this is where you kind of sit things at right now?
Okay, I think it's already looks good for me. Except the Malice that can be, I think I agree with you. It can be undefeated in ranking, but because of the Magna mode getting hit as well, so the bestial number is also dropped. I think I will still on my opinion it just can win on lucky day. But overall, I think it works.
Yeah, okay. I think so that's what we have currently for like our first collab kind of video. I think we'll try to create more content like this or maybe other forms of content as well that's like Yu-Gi-Oh related, of course related to like Southeast Asia and Asia English and OCG formats as well. Maybe even something for Worlds as well. But yeah, Christine, do you have any closing words?
Okay, maybe I have a question for you. If you have to choose the deck that you will bring into the next Asian English event, but what deck will you choose for this?
This is pre Chaos Origin, right?
Yes.
That is an incredibly difficult question. I'm playing so many decks right now because I don't have that answer. But if I had to sit down and choose something right now, I would choose. I think either Elfnote or Branded. Um, I think personally, I do feel like Elfnote could be a brain turn off event. So if I'm preparing for like a 9 round day one and then a day two as well, I think Elfnote is a pretty good or decent pick for that. Or I will play Branded because Branded I feel like I have the most outplay potential. I'm not the best Branded player. I haven't played the deck for super long. I think I only played it for like 2 3 weeks. But at least I'm pretty familiar with how it plays into Cool Tune. Also, shout out to Yuna. She was the one that taught me Branded because I played against her and I was like, I don't know what I'm doing. But yeah, personally, I don't like playing Cool Tune. Um, but I would definitely pick one of those two decks to at least counter Cool Tune and counter the entire format. But yeah, how about you?
Okay, I think to be honest, I would like to answer the cool tune, but I'm not prepared for the cool tune mirror because it's so hard. Whoever summon B2B first, I think it's gonna be the winner. But yeah, I won't face. I prefer not to face this kind of face. So I think I'm gonna go with the Risio Mitsu because I think we almost of my friends forgot that the Baguska still exists here, and I think
Yeah, Lagoose is still alive.
this is quite a strong board for Mitsu Risio, so I think I'm gonna go with this. Yeah.
All right, so I guess that's that. Thanks everyone for watching and tune in for the next. Peace.